Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This store is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Get signed up for their email distribution list to find out when the store will be opening, what their hours will be, and most importantly, what they will have in inventory at abvbarrelshop.com. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebartogo.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss if tasting rooms will be a boom or bust for Kentucky bourbon. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Luke Otero, Jim Fosnot, and Ryan Thompson.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, guys.
How we doing, guys?
Hey. So we are going to have some fun today. We're going to be talking about tasting rooms in Kentucky. Now, there's other places like Michigan where that's very common. You can have multiple tasting rooms. I don't even know if there's any sort of limit or anything, but recently in Kentucky, the law was changed that allows for each DSP that you own, you can open up a tasting room. So, some of the heritage brands have lots of DSPs, so they'll be able to open up lots of tasting rooms. Our buddy Royce Neely, he's got 2 distilleries now, so he's got 2 DSPs. He can open up 2 tasting rooms. So it's going to be interesting. You might say, well, don't they have tasting rooms now? Like I knew that Beam one downtown. No. To have a tasting room, you had to have a running still. So if you think that that downtown location that Beam used to have, which they don't have anymore, the 4th Street Live area, that had a little small still in there where they would make whiskey in there. Or you think about the Evan Williams experience. There's a still in there. They're making, so you have to have a still up until this point, but now they're able to open up just tasting rooms. So we'll talk about that. What does that mean? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? We'll get into that. There's probably pros and cons, but we'll talk about the entire thing after the break. For right now, McNew said there's something you want to talk about. What is that, McNew?
All right, Steve, you're kind of in like a grumpy old man phase sometimes. So this might be a good question for you. Because I find myself being grumpy sometimes. So in my day job, I get a lot of emails. And when I first entered the dental world, I was 22. 22-year-olds, aren't dumb, aren't known for being smart by any means, are making good decisions. But the ones I'm working with today, like from the dental offices, I'm like, this is the dumbest fucking question I've ever been asked. So I want to know, do you think the new generation coming into the workforce was dumber than any of us? Because I was talking to my boss and I'm like, we were stupid. She's like, this is a new kind of stupid. So I want to know, are you guys seeing that or thinking that? Because I'm like, you literally were a generation with like the world at your fingertips and you still have stupid questions. Like, go look it up. And that's been my consensus. And that's like my old person rant is like, look it up. Why are you emailing me and wasting my time kind of situation?
Yeah. So, I'll say this, you're kind of dealing with your first generation because you're talking about when you're 22, you're like 34 now. So you're talking about if saying a decade, it brings out a new group of people into the workforce.
It kind of does though. Yeah. Like 10 years, right. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it kind of is.
But I've seen enough 10 years to know that they're really all the same. People of that young age are all equally idiots. It's just that they're new idiots. And then they get up and get some life experiences and they'll get smarter.
Yeah, so maybe that's it. But I think that's just so frustrated.
Yeah. So McNew, I'm going to take your side a little bit on this. And Steve and I are almost the same age. Right. I'm old man grumpy too. But I think if you think the last decade, the amount of shit that's changed with like social media and stuff and how much the world has changed in the last 10 years compared to any other 10-year period, I think it's significant. And I think these kids now are entitled more than any other generation. And that's part of it. They're just fucking lazy. Like they've had
so that's my thing.
They've had everything.
My thing is like, don't be lazy. I'm like, you took 20 minutes to type me an email. You could have took 5 to Google that and got a quicker answer. Like,
yeah, they think everything should be handed to them more than any other generation. With my experience in retail and having hired people, for all these years, to me, this is it's come about with this whole entitlement. They're just so used to things being given to them from school on.
I think as the 22-year-olds remain the same, but the lack of patience as one gets older,
these are
less and less and less.
Right. I feel like if we could go back in time and make Jim Fosnot 22 years old and bring on his grandfather or whatever to talk about 22-year-olds today, I think it would have been the exact same speech. It would have been like, generations, it was different, but this 22-year-olds now are a bunch of entitled pieces of shit that think they get everything. Because you see those old people talk about that. I don't know. That wasn't us. It doesn't seem like that's an old man argument there.
I disagree because I go in reverse where I think the older generations were way tougher than us. I think our grandparents were tougher than we were. And I think each generation's gotten softer because we've had it easier.
Yeah, but you don't think your grandfather was judging? I think Steve was like saying your grandfather was judging your generation for being real tough.
Exactly.
But if my grandfather judged the generation, the 22-year-olds now to my 22-year-olds, it would be a whole different ballgame.
Right.
You'd be like, you weren't so bad.
What did your grandfather think of you 22-year-old generation versus he 22-year-old generation?
Well, I agree, but I think this 22-year-old generation is like, if he saw the shit going on now with 22-year-olds, if you went to my grandfather and said, which bathroom should you use? Holy crap. I can't imagine what that somebody would have died. Like, it wouldn't have ended well. So so I just think I think our generations, I had this conversation with my son a couple years ago. I was giving him crap about how soft his generation is, and he looked at me and pissed me off. He goes, "Well, you're the ones who raised us, Dad. You're the ones who raised us." I'm like, God damn, that one hurt.
This is a really good question, and I can only apply it to my personal experience that when I was 22, my parents and grandparents just expected me to try to figure it out.
Right.
And we didn't have Google. We didn't have social media. We didn't have all that. We had a set of encyclopedias, and then hopefully, we could pull something out of there. But set that aside. Fast forward to my kids when they were 22, whether it's Alyssa, Lucas, or Victoria, because of the technology and every piece of advantage they have now. I can just say from my end, they're not lazy. They don't take anything for granted. They know how to figure it out. And I apply that to the same kind of rule my parents did for me. Go figure it out. And they go figure it out. Yeah. So I don't know about those ones, honestly, that
right. Because I can think, just as we went back to when Jim was 22 and his grandfather was ripping on him and his generation, we can fast forward 30 years from now and talk to the 22-year-old that McNew was just talking about and say, what's the generation like today? They're terrible. They think everything, they're entitled, they get everything, everything's handed to them. They're pieces of shit. They're lazy. Back in my day, I worked for this bitch named McNew. She'd bust my ass. She was an incredible bitch. And if I didn't do shit right, she was up my ass, and then you got it so easy. That's how that stuff goes.
It probably is. But
is going to be talking about McNew.
Like, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I was a whole idiot. Like, I didn't know anything that I thought I knew. And now I'm just kind of like, I at least would try to find it for myself. I would at least, like Luke said, try to figure it out. Yeah. I don't think they try to figure it out. And that is where my frustration is. Like, it is. Yeah. I am not
30 years from
other places before you come to me.
You're McGoogle.
30 years from now, people are going to be saying, I had to use Google and YouTube to figure it out. Now kids these days just ask their robot assistant. And that tells
Yeah, it's so tough. I'd have to search. I'd have to type out 3 letters of the word until Google picked it up.
I had to type with my own fingers. It was terrible.
Now the artificial intelligence in my brain automatically knows what I'm thinking.
It's like the Jetsons come full circle, and like Rosie just like lives in your walls, like she's just there, and you just throw out questions and she gets it for you.
I have to deal with the reverse of that, McNew. I have to deal with the warden who's in her 50s at this point, like me. And, she says this stuff all the time. I wonder how old this person is. My standard response for anytime she has a question would be like, gosh, I hope one day they invent something where we can just type something in Google, like a Google, and it'll come up and tell us. And she's always saying this kind of stuff. Or when did this show get canceled? I'll be like, gosh, I wish they invented something like they would call Google and you could look it up. It'd be so cool. Because she's got her phone on her all the time. She's playing some game or something or texting someone.
Because this is how I am, Steve. I'm like, if I want to know something, I'm like, oh, I could literally just like look that up. I have this thing in my hand 24/7. There's no excuse for not finding out information. I don't think there's any excuse for it. And that is why I get so frustrated. I'm like,
it's a whole other conversation. But like Steve, back in the day, we're in our 20s and you're in the bar having a disagreement with one of your buddies. There was no way to, like, you just had to argue it out. Like you couldn't pull out your phone and go, see, I'm right. Like it would just be having a conversation. And
this is true.
I like how you defaulted to see I'm right instead of see I'm wrong.
Yeah, of course he's right.
Nice job.
All right, gang. Well, it is time to drink. What is everyone drinking? Let's start this time with Jim. Jim, what do you got?
I'm got a little bottle here of Still 630 Still Modern. So this is an older release from them. So it's a beer collaboration with a friend of ours. Okay. Not expecting too much. Small bottle.
Okay. Decent. Not bad. We'll see. That could be enough. Luke, you're next. What do you got?
I've got a bottle of 6-year-old Wilderness Trail. Love this stuff.
Okay. Not quite up to Jim. It was close, but I do think Jim got you there. So he's got the lead. I'll go next. I've got Iron Root Harbinger. Whatever cork pop I get, it should be double because this is signed by both Jonathan and Robert Licorice. So
I know that you forged signatures. I heard a story today about that. So
I did forge a signature once. So,
So I'm not sure those are actually there.
I got caught and got trouble for that though. So I changed my ways after that. So here we go. Oh, this is going to be tough. Here we go. No. So bassy, sloshy, not good. All right, McNew, you're next.
Okay, so I have my blend from Barrels and Billets in Louisville next to the Sluggers Museum. It's called McNew's Master Blend.
Okay. No.
That was actually silent.
That was actually, yes, reverse.
It made a little thump here, but not a lot.
Okay. All right. Jim's got the lead. Ryan, you're last, but not least. What do you got?
We're just going to do a little Wild Turkey Long Branch.
Okay.
Yeah.
About halfway gone there.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Okay. No, not enough. Jim, you take it. Congrats.
Thank you.
And cheers.
Cheers.
Good to go, Jim. Cheers.
All right. Jim and I are going to go back and listen to every show at the ABV Barrel Shop. We should keep track of cork pops, and then we'll finally have the full records of how we're going.
You should have like a scoreboard, like top three.
A scoreboard and see
cork poppers.
So I had the idea as we listen to these shows, like people who've been on the show who are no longer on the show but are still friendly with, to have like a reunion week and go back and pull people in. That'd be kind of fun to. I mean, there's some people who didn't leave on great
terms. Some people just got busy or disappeared. Like I think that would be so super fun to have.
Where are they now? Where are they now?
Yeah, some people we won't do that with.
All right. Well, we'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about tasting rooms in Kentucky and what's going on with that. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad? We'll find out. We'll do that in just a few. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot in the greater St. Louis area. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only focuses on single barrels. We aren't open just yet, but our plan is to have the most diverse single barrel offerings from our many friends in the world of bourbon. By signing up for a weekly email, you will know our entire inventory we have on hand. In addition to single barrels, we'll have a tasting bar and a gift shop featuring logo merchandise for both the shop and the ABV network, as well as a full curriculum of bourbon education classes. Additionally, we'll use the gift shop to feature products from our partners in the world of bourbon, companies like Art Eatable Chocolates and Old Man Bay Signs. Head over to ABV Barrel Shop to sign up for our email and text distribution list so you can stay in the know. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent visits to Kentucky. Today, he's leading the way for young distillers making their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery combines family history, a look at what makes their products unique, and of course, a tasting through their whiskeys, moonshines, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com and visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
Hello, this is Jeff from Iowa, and you're listening to the Bourbon Daily with Colonel Steve.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we are talking about tasting rooms in Kentucky. Are they going to be great or are they not?
Yes, they are. So I don't know. What are some thoughts on this? So now you can have a tasting room. You don't have to have a still in there. You can just set it up where a distillery could have their products available to taste or buy bottles, that type of thing. And what do we think about that? Is that going to be a good thing for bourbon or
Steve, define the regulation here a little bit further for me. Are they allowing one extra, like here in Colorado, it's one at our distillery, then one off-site? Is that what they're doing there?
So, you can have it at your distillery, so it'll be one extra then. So
but it's one per DSP. It's one per DSP, right? So like Heaven Hill could have.
Right.
Yeah, Heaven Hill could have like 50 of them, or Buffalo Traces. They got tons of DSPs,
I got you.
all kinds of them.
I got you.
So, but yes, it's in addition to what's available at their distillery. So a still doesn't count. So you got a still. That's one that you get, and it doesn't count as your one. This is off-site tasting room.
I love it. I'm all for it. I think it's a great thing. It's kind of like saying, are there going to be ever too many bars out there? Let the market decide that. Maybe there are, maybe there won't. But Kentucky is such a hotbed, obviously, for bourbon goers and bourbon visitors and whiskey aficionados and fans. And I think there's room for plenty and room for all. So I think it's a good thing. I'm excited for it. I think it's great.
Okay.
I would agree with Ryan. I go back to Napa quite a bit and been going back there for over 25 years. And back then they didn't have all the tasting rooms that are there now, but the proximity going from winery to winery was pretty close, but you could still only, if you think about it, to enjoy an experience, you can barely get in maybe 3-4 tops. So you do this concept in Louisville or Kentucky, and because Kentucky's more spread out than Napa, you got distilleries that are 20, 30, 40, 50 miles away from one another. You might be able to hit 2 comfortably during the day. But if you can go down Main Street in Louisville and hit, I know this because Buzzard's Roost is going to open up one, and I'm excited about that because we could send customers to Buzzard's Roost. We could send them to, like we already do now, to Peerless, to Michter's. I mean, I think the tasting room is just going to add a lot more experience to everybody. And going a little bit further, I think this thing's going to last a while. Just look at all the investment going on at the distilleries across Kentucky. We're talking not millions, we're talking billions of infrastructure building. I think, the bean counters see this as a long-term deal. Now, how you define long-term, is it 20, 30 years? I don't know. I'm banking on it for us at least 20 more years.
Yeah. I love the concept of it. I think there's a few questions I have of what it's going to do to the industry. From, does it stop people from traveling to distilleries? Like you say, they're so far apart. So if I go to Louisville and I can hit all these, tastings in a general area there, am I going to want to drive all the way out to Maker's Mark or all the way out to
I want to hit, Bardstown, and then
so is it going to create
Buffalo Trace?
Right. So is it going to stop some of that from happening? And then my other part, well, I got a couple things, but the other one I'll bring up now is it's also, I think it will hurt the overall bar scene. I think a lot of bars will take a hit from this because people will go from tasting room to tasting room and maybe pass over some of the bars in Louisville.
Yeah. I think that stuff's real. I think that's
I think you got to wait. Are you going to a bar? Do you want to go to a bar, or do you want to go to a distillery offsite type of facility? That's a question to the consumer.
Right.
Very fair question too.
I'm a capitalist. I'm good however it works out. I just think there could be some unseen repercussions to the distilleries from tourism standpoint.
And I'm going to be the contrarian here and say that the legislature felt otherwise. This is going to be an enhancement for the entire state. Now it's up to the bars now to get on board and adjust and be nimble and do what they have to do. What
I don't like about it is what I feel like very much might happen. I think Jim hit on all of it. And a summary of that is, I think when someone flies into Kentucky now, and they're going to drive down to Bardstown. They're going to, get some of the stuff on Whiskey Row in Louisville. They might drive out, east and head to, Wild Turkey and Four Roses and all that. But or does the new consumer just stay in Louisville and not go to all those places and just hit more of them?
I think it really helps those distilleries in Louisville.
Hit the bourbon trail of those. And what I like about what I do now is if I go into Kentucky, I go to all those places. And then in between, I go to Bourbon's Bistro and I go to the Silver Dollar and to Merle's Whiskey Kitchen. I go to the neat bars. And, are people going to miss out on that because they just want to hit all the distillery locations?
So I was going to say, I see Jim's point, but I saw it as a good thing as a consumer, because as an educated consumer, I don't want to take a tour just to get a tasting. Like, I know you use 51% corn. I know it's this proof point. I know it's this barrel point. I don't need the spiel anymore. I really don't think tours are fun unless it's one of our behind the scene tours. I don't want to do tours anymore unless it's special. So yeah, if I can walk into a tasting room and taste all of your expressions or anything or something special, good, great. That's what I want to do with my day. I don't want to do a tour that I've done 100 times.
I think you're making my point for me.
Good for consumers like us.
I think you make my point for me. Like, if I don't have to drive an hour to hit the next, if I can, literally in Louisville, you could hit every major distillery's tasting room in a 2-day period. Like, so for me, I love it, but I think there's going to be some repercussions for the actual.
I see that too, and I think that's where like some legislature could come in to be like, hey, Louisville can only have so many tasting rooms. You got to put one in Bardstown or Lexington or Loretto or wherever, or Covington. You got to spread them out. So I think if they limit that and you force people to go other areas, that's going to help tourism, not just focus on Louisville.
For someone like Royce Neal, it could be huge because he's in Sparta, Kentucky, a little bit out of the way to begin with. Now he could have a tasting room in Louisville and maybe one in Lexington, picks out 2 big cities, or one in Louisville, one in Bardstown, that type of thing. And it gives them an opportunity. But to the point of the oversaturation, Heaven Hill could put in 8 of these things and just do individual brands. Here's the Evan Williams tasting room.
Yeah, they already have the Evan Williams, which is different. It's an experience.
Well, then now they have the Henry McKenna one, and here's the Mellow Corn tasting room, and here's the here's the Old Fitzgerald tasting room. And so now someone might spend a day that they would be going to other places, other distilleries, just hitting the Heaven Hill the Heaven Hill Trail. If they probably, maybe they give you a free t-shirt if you hit all of the tasting rooms, and they spread them out across town.
Yeah, and it's a different trail.
your whole day. Now, if I'm Heaven Hill, that's what I'd do. I mean, I would try to lock it in where I get all of their Kentucky vacation money, not just coming to the distillery money. I get all of it. So I think, I don't know that it's a great thing. I'm not convinced on this one yet.
Well, another thought I have is, sorry, McNew there. A lot of times people don't have time to do the whole tour, to drive the 50 miles away and the triangle and the whole deal. And so a lot of times maybe they just have one free night while they're in town on a business trip, and they want to go hit a couple other tasting rooms all in one.
Yeah, but they kind of had that locked up. Right? Whiskey Row, you can walking distance. You can hit, You can hit Peerless. You can hit
Sure.
Old Forester and Michter's, and they're all there, and they're small. Even if just go in and they have tasting rooms there.
Yeah.
Steve, you're so focused on Louisville though, so but think about like Lexington and Covington and Newport. Like those are things that are not oversaturated yet. They're getting there, but they aren't yet.
But you can only have one tasting room per DSP. So Royce could only, when he opens his second location, he could have 2 tasting rooms. Like to me, level the playing field. You can only, to me, it's either you can have X amount of tasting rooms per,
DSP. Yeah, like let's say you could have 3, or I think one is like a little restrictive, but let's say like you could have 3. That's going to hit a lot of major cities in Kentucky. So,
right, so like Heaven Hill gets 3, and Beam gets 3, and whatever.
Right? But, that's more fair.
Yeah, but that's not the way it's set up.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how they set it up, because I guess if I was a heritage one, I say, okay, where am I going to be able to spread this and make business sense out of it? Oversaturation probably does not do me as a heritage brand, but if I were a small craft person like Royce, I'd be right there on Whiskey Row,
right? That's what I would do too,
and do it. And just because people don't have time to go to Sparta, because what they want to do, they want to go to Loretto, they want to go check out Maker's Mark, but they don't have time to go the other way. So I see this nothing but a boom for the industry. Napa figured it out. They're surviving. A lot of the tasting rooms in Napa and St. Helena and some of the other places, the small, like McNew's talking about, the little communities, they have tasting rooms, and people go there and they're happy, and because they're right there in the middle of wine country, as you would be in the middle of whiskey country. So Kentucky, I think they're doing it right. I think everyone's going to be able to do it. You're right, Jim. The bars may have a little bit of a hiccup, but they'll figure it out too. They'll have to figure it out if they want to be competitive. But overall, I think it's going to be great for the industry.
I'm 100% on board with this. I just think it's going to change the dynamic significantly in Kentucky of how things work.
Yeah. So what about the airport though? Like you could spend the extra money, get like that prime airport, like real estate. Like if I was a little guy, I would spend that money up front, put myself a tasting room in the Louisville airport, say, hey, I have a distillery like in Sparta or wherever. And you know what? Like people hit it on their way in, they hit it on their way out. If they're coming on their way in, they're like, that was great. I'm putting that on my list to visit now. Like I don't think the airport tasting room is a dumb idea.
I think it's a brilliant idea that I hadn't thought of.
I agree. Well, absolutely.
If I were Mayor Fisher of Louisville, I'd take that thought and I'd go even one step further, and I'd go out to all the distilleries in Kentucky. So listen, we're gonna have a vendor there. Let's just say Jim Filesnot and Steve Akeley are going to run it for us, and they're going to bring in. They're been tasked to bring in every whiskey that is made in Kentucky. So you have a Kentucky bourbon store that anyone who
the KDA and called the bar the Bourbon Trail. Yeah.
Sure. The KDA bar is the local airport. That's genius. Yeah.
Because you're right. When I go in, it's mainly I go in on a Monday. It takes me all day to get there. Basically, I'm there on business on for the next day, and then I'm out the following day. And I, for one, have always enjoyed every time I'm there. I always try to do something big and different. And I sometimes accomplish it, sometimes I don't. I mean, I find myself at Bourbon's Bistro, and I'm perfectly fine right there, and I don't need to go anywhere else. But there's those others who don't know it like we do, like all of us that are on this Zoom call tonight, that if I can go into this Louisville airport store and say, oh, I didn't get a chance to go to Loretto, or I didn't get a chance to go to Sparta. I didn't get a chance to go to Owensboro. Let me take something home. So there you have it.
And we all want an airport drink. I think that's like a beautiful thing about an airport. You get to get lit there. So I just
let's get one last perspective here from Ryan, because Ryan lives in a state that's has way more distilleries actually than Kentucky. They also have tasting rooms, and matter of fact, Ryan owns a tasting room. So tell us a little bit about what the rules are for Colorado. Can you have as many tasting rooms as you want, or what's the rules there?
No, we're only limited to one at our distillery. It's got to be on site at the distillery. Then we can have one off site as well. So with us, we do have one at the distillery. Then we have one in Vail Village at the base of the ski mountain. That might change to where we're allowed 4, one at the distillery, then 3 others. And if that does, and I'm probably going to put one downtown Denver and one other somewhere else. We'll see. So,
yeah.
How is the business?
I understood that the Kentucky law also allowed, yes, one offsite tasting room, but if there was a festival of some sort, you could set up shop there to sell as well.
Yeah, that's new too. They had a bunch of new laws. Yeah, that being one of them, that you can do bottle sales at festivals. That's cool. Another thing that you see widely done that was technically illegal was barrel aged cocktails and stuff like that. So you go into a bar and you see the barrels behind it, which Ryan does this too. That was technically illegal in Kentucky, and they've tightened that up where that's legal now. Bars can do that. So something about changing the flavor.
I didn't know that. I thought that was just a thing. I didn't know there were laws about that.
It's almost like distilling, because you're almost creating a product that you're then selling, but it's unregulated. It'd be no different than like if Adam Stumpf at Stumpy Spirits bought neutral grain spirits and then flavorings and said, "Hey, this is our product." Well, they're kind of doing that at the bar too. They're taking things and then changing them. They might be adding fruit in there or whatever's in that barrel, and then So
true.
But they can do that. They can do that.
Question for Ryan. So, one, how does the tasting room do, and does that bring business, tours, or whatever to your actual distillery?
It does well, and yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in Vail Village, a pedestrian tourist spot, vacationers coming through day in and day out, evergreen location. It's at the base of Vail Ski Mountain, obviously a very popular ski resort. So we get a lot of exposure to people that don't know about us. The very passionate people that come through that our distillery is about 30 minutes west of Vail Village, of our tasting room there. So people will learn about us while they're on vacation there, then take a day off of skiing in the wintertime or a day off of doing what kind of summer activity and come down to the distillery and hang out for an afternoon. I love it when that happens. We're open for tours all day long. So it's a great, the taste from Vail Village is a pretty big percentage of our overall revenue.
Okay. A couple questions about
that's really important.
How many, do you know how many distilleries are in Colorado approximately?
108, 110, something like that.
108, 110. Okay. So, and if they go to 4, that they can have off-site, they can have one off-site now, one on-site, one off-site. If they go to 4, how do you feel if in Vail, all of a sudden it goes from yours there to 14 of them, 14 tasting rooms, because everyone
they can figure it out, then by all means go for it, right?
Okay.
It's not an easy place to do business. Real estate's a little pricey, but that's part of it, right?
You welcome that, and you'll just deal with it if it happens. Okay.
Yeah, I'm all right with it.
Fair. That's fair.
I'm pro business and let the market figure it out. And I think the more the merrier, personally.
Amen.
Yeah. So
call them the 10th mountain to take them out.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. There you go. Well, there you go. There's a little bit about that. I think we did a good job here, folks, because how we personally feel doesn't matter. I think we presented both sides, and I think that's the important thing. And then we'll sit back now and see what happens. It is passed, and none of these have opened up just yet. But there's we know there's some already in the works, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. So. On that note, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Ryan, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
Across all socials at 10th MTN Whiskey with an E. Our website is 10thwhiskey.com.
All right, Jim.
Find me on Facebook at Jim Fosnot, on Instagram at FozJim, or working hard every day at the ABV Barrel Shop to get it open to bring you the best single barrel craft selection in the country.
We'll have a tasting room too. So
yeah, we will.
Yeah,
nice.
on site, not an off-site one. No, we're working on that. We're trying to get laws changed where we can have 3.
The off-site's actually at Steve's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Luke, how about you? Where can people find you?
You can find us on Instagram at Santa Fe Boutique Wines and Luke Otero at SantaFeBoutiqueWines.com.
All right, McNew.
I am on Instagram at McNew ABV.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I would like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review. That includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
All right, great job today, gang. Farnies, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Cheers.
Yos.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Another friend of ours is the Goldstein family at Goldstone Mill. The Goldsteins offer a variety of heritage and heirloom grains to make the finest whiskeys in the world. Plus, they are more than just a grain company. They are truly consultants to make sure the grains they are providing to you or your business meet your highest expectations. Additionally, they work with mills around the country, ensuring shipping is as low as possible for their customers. If you're a distillery, brewery, or even doing this at home, Goldstone can assist you. Check them out at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or check in via email at hello@goldstonemill.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the Hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's upcoming Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with a national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.